Hey, Jay Rosales, how are you, family? Angelita, how are you? Vado Loco. Vato. You remind me of, do you know that one uh, Latino guy in the movie? I don't know if you watched the movie Army of the Dead. You know, the guy with the blonde hair who does a YouTube channel and he like shoots people and shit? No pun intended, of course, but you remind me of him. Manuel, good evening, sir. This is gonna be a quick Q&A. I've had some people ask questions about, you know, AB's three-legged options mythology and strategy, and you know, I'm gonna talk about what I did with Lucid today. So it's gonna be hopefully fun. We'll see how it goes with everybody. You know, I don't know what questions are out there until I get them. But this is quick. I gotta go do some things before I call it a night. Hey, there's babes. Jam Bams, the one and only. So, I'm gonna start with AMC. I'll talk about what I did with Lucid today. As I've been telling people from about a week and a half ago about me entering in. I got you, Loco. All me and you. So with AMC, the reason why the three-leg strategy worked different in June, and this is for AV. You asked this question. There is every play has completely, you have to enter it completely different with different strategy depending on what the situation is. So AMC was heavily popular back in March and April, but what made it specifically, like what are the signals, as you've asked? Well, one of the main ones that triggers a change either to the upside or to the downside is the volume. When you see the average volume being, for example, in AMC year to date, about 31, 32 million or 30-ish million. Bro Cape, how you doing, family? When you see that, when you suddenly see on different trading days, you begin to see the 40, the 50, the 60 million, that triggers obviously a completely change of trend in the volume. That's number one thing. Number two, always keep in the back of your mind that the market makers will always keep the options chain in the back of their head. So the rule for them is to obviously catch everyone by surprise, or to obviously find always the sweet spot where they inflict most damage and take least amount of damage themselves. Obviously, that's how they make money, right? In the same time, the second most important thing to them is that they always have to, like, nothing is for free. The market maker, his oath is to basically, besides the corruption, his oath or her oath, whoever it is to keep liquidity within the market. There's no such thing as, oh, this transaction can't move, because like back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and whatever, there was no such thing. So which means the custodians, which is your brokers, would have to, like, it would take you days to complete your trade. So basically it was beyond imagination of a slow ass process. So that's one, and that's two as well. The third thing you have to look at is there was no reverse stock split, and there was no convergence. And that plays a big role in the options, specifically for AMC. This goes out to all the option players in AMC. I've said this about, I think back in as soon as the AMC made that announcement, and you guys can track in the archives and check. As soon as you go back and check, there was, as soon as they reported that they were going to do a reverse stock split and they were going to put the proposal and all that, instantly. The first reaction I made is this is basically a option smasher or killer. Now, why is that the case? Think of it like this. Once the options chain, look at GME. When GME, skyrocketed in January, and after that, another time in June, along with AMC, as they both ripped at that time. Now, if you go back and look at GME, because of the price of where it's at, the options chain, like the strike price that you have to pay for an option, is very expensive. So, which means the market maker is taking the YOLOers and the retail traders out of the equation as much as possible. So after a reverse stock split, if it goes through with AMC, now let's say hypothetically, I'm going to throw an example for the family. Let's say you're one of those YOLO people and you're saying, oh, okay, I think I got this figured out on the options chain. I'm going to go ahead and get the $25 strike price all the way up due in 2024 or 2025. Sounds very, easing, right? Like you're like, oh, I think AMC will go to 25 by 2024 or 2025. Now, here's the wicked thing. This is why when I speak about the forces in the market being much beyond people like the CEO or whatever, it's because I see, again, the whole entire picture, and you got to put it all in the same frame. So the options chain on AMC, before there was even talks about reverse stock split or any of that stuff, that $25 strike price, for example, when AMC was at 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, even at 12, as soon as they issued the preferred shares, that's when the options chain became $25 was like the max, minus the AMC 1 calls. This is different. This is without the AMC 1s. Okay? Now, once they made that change, every single person who didn't obviously know what was coming, that was before the talk about issuing a reverse stock split, any proposals. So any retailer or any random person who does not know what's coming ahead, they would have been like, okay, I'm very bullish on AMC. I see AMC from now until 2024 or 2025 jumping crazy. And look at this loser here, Link V. I don't know what channel or what chill channel he came from, but Tino, have a great night, buddy. Anyways, so when you think that way and you're very bullish on the stock and you went and got that, let's say $25 call for 2025 or 2024, not the AMC 1, just AMC, because AMC 1 is with Ape. So when you get those, after the announcement, look how crazy this is. After the announcement of the reverse stock split and the conversion, now you got to add, you've already made your position prior to that talk. You didn't know that there was such vote coming. And you theoretically, the odds were leaning towards you more than that it's going to be against you, because there's no way it's just, AMC was going to be stuck in a trading channel of $6, $7 to just $10 from now until 2025. It's either going to go bankrupt or break down to the $1 or $2 range, or it's going to go to the upside. And obviously, with the place that it's at, or with that happening, you're always going to have volatility up and down, which means even the $25 calls being in the extrinsic value of them with the volatility, their intrinsic value will be in some money. They will gain some money. The price don't even have to be at $25 in order for those calls to be in the profit. Now, here's the thing. Suddenly they announced the reverse stock split. You've already had the $25 calls. Now, after the reverse stock split goes through, your $25 calls will be affected also 10 to 1, similar to your stocks, which technically means that your option, it's normally your call, the value of it is the strike price plus your break even will be your strike price plus the premium that you paid for the call. So let's say you paid $40 Okay, 0.41 or 0.40, $40 for those $25 strike calls for AMC. Now, after the reverse stock split, let's say the reverse stock split, AMC is at whatever, 50, okay? Whatever price. That $25, you have to basically multiply it by 10, which means $250 plus your premium, which means your break even becomes over about 290, about 290, 291. That's where your break even will be. Now, obviously after a reverse stock split, let's say the price of AMC surges to 100, or here's the other flip side. This is why I'm telling specifically you, AV, where this was definitely planned ahead. All these moves were planned ahead, because as soon as what we know about the filings, as soon as the reverse stock split goes through, if it goes through, then Antera has, and all these institutions will have from shares that they got converted over from their arbitrage of APE, and then they will all start selling. So the price will drop from whatever it is to however low it goes to. So let's say it went to 50 and then it drops down to they short it back to 25 or 22. Look where your break even has to go up to. You still have to, Shirley, how are you doing? Miss Gloria, how are you doing, my friend? Your option would technically at that point still have to go all the way up to that 250, 290 mark to basically be at that break even. Now, since you got extrinsic value on your side, because it's not due next week, it's not due the next week. Again, the example, it's a little bit complicated, but with time, everybody, like, if you get into options, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now, your extrinsic value is still on your side, because you're technically, while you need the stock to go up that much, if the stock was from now till 2024, let's say in June, hypothetically speaking, let's say in June, the stock of AMC goes up after they did bringing it down and whatever. Let's say it went up to from whatever 30 and ripped to about 100, 140. Like everybody's saying, hey, 140, I see it on the technical analysis and all that. I'm just going to go with the flow and go take your guys' example. Let's say AMC rips to 140 in June. Those 20, 24, $25 calls would be in the profit at that point. Now, how much, you'll have to do the calculations and see, but I could tell you that it will be in the profit. Why? Because the extrinsic value, you still have a lot of time left until your option is going to be going either worthless or in the money, out of the money or in the money, because you still have until January of 2024 and it's still June. Again, go along with the example here. I'm trying to explain it best as I could. Now, what plays also a big role is the IV, which is the volatility. If AMC rips, your volatility will add a lot to your intrinsic value of the option for the strike price. So it gets a little muddy in order for me to play my three-legged option strategy. If I'm doing it, I would have to first look at the premiums, get cheap, always look for the best entry point, which is technically where stocks bottom. Where stocks bottom at is technically where the premiums will be the cheapest. And that's the best entry points normally. Again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just telling you what I have done before to all of you. So the best entry points always, if the individual wants to get into options, I'm just, looking out for people so they can kind of cover their bases here, and not just jump in and not know how hot the water is. So once you organize, or once you decide that this is the bottom, or you think to the best of your knowledge, because everything still has obviously risk, everything you do, whether even your share position or your option position. The only thing that shares have over options is that shares don't expire until you sell your position. So you technically don't have a loss or a gain until you settle and sell your position in shares. But in options, eventually your option position can either become zero or go completely worthless, or completely in the money, depending on where it is by the time it expires. So there's a time limit. So Captain No Likey, how are you? How are you, sir? I know, right, Shirley? So that explains at least that part with AMC. And hopefully, if you have any more questions, you can ask me about that. But back then, in March, April of 2021, I've seen the basically AMC have never ripped before that. It ripped in January, but then it was halted. There was no stock dilution unless in March there was Mudrick that dropped shares, Mudrick Capital, but the volume was picking up steam, and it was a heavily popular stock. At that time, we still didn't go through all the shenanigans, except that battle of 801 and all that stuff, but that was nothing compared to what we've been through already until this point. So once I seen the bottom back then, which was around March at that time, and I seen the signals of the volume indicating much more higher volume, which means more trading going on. Okay, that signaled that there's a move coming. I had to make basically a executive decision based on my best ability or understanding to see if it's going to go to the upside or that next move is going to be to the downside. And it went up to the upside, of course, me being an ape. Now, that's why it worked that way. But there was no reverse stock split talk. There was none of that stuff. There was no possible companies that could dilute, and even the company itself having millions, hundreds of millions of shares that possibly could be used to tame any runs or dilution at any given point, because that's what this whole thing is about. That's why I've said the no and the yes and the difference between the two as far as monetary for us. Believe it or not, I made a profit off of a put on Crocs today with their stellar earnings. Yes, it's possible, which is what I'm going to talk about now with Lucid. Now with Lucid, I've taken a position, a couple of them in Lucid, and I will tell you guys what my strategy for this one is, because the difference here is that this is not just a random position that I've taken it. So for example, I took calls and puts, and I'll tell you where. So, the puts, I've gotten my puts. I got 50 puts at $10 put calls, basically. So, which means they cost me, I was able to snag them for $4 a piece, which meant that was $200 of an investment at the $10 put. And I also snagged the same amount, 50 calls, not puts this time, on the $11.50 call options. And here's why, because the same thing, I was able to snag those for the same amount. I had to wait all day till the market maker processed that transaction. So basically, at $200 in calls and $200 in puts. The puts were at the $10 range, which Lucid closed at $10.65, and then the calls were at the $11.50 strike price. And obviously the break even will be $4, which is the premium plus the strike price. So my break even will have to be $11.54 on the upside for the calls and $9.96 on the puts, on the $10 puts for Lucid. Now, why did AB do this? Why did AB do that? Because this is an earnings call. I looked at the options chain and I see a lot of open interest on both sides, on the puts and variously all over. So the market maker is going to look to try to burn most of these, all the way from the 15 for the calls and all the way down to the $6 range. So in between those ranges, I have to protect myself going into this because the earnings, no one knows what's going to come out. That's why this strategy is a little different than most strategies, and you have to use, like I said, different strategy for every play and every situation. So an earnings call could come out and say, for instance, oh, so we had great sales and we saved a lot on this, but unfortunately, due to the market and the economy, we had to cut our workforce and do this stuff. So what would happen then is the algorithmic trading would start. That's the excuse the market makers will basically use to justify the news, to justify the price action. So the price would be volatility going up and down at the same time. Now, let's say I put in all options in the back of my head. Let's say the price starts ripping, which means my puts my $200 in my puts, the 50 puts, are going to start losing value. And I don't want them to go completely worthless. As the price goes up, I start limiting my exposure to my puts, not fully, because price goes up and down. Just limiting my exposure here and also collecting profits on the opposite end. So if it moves down, I'm going to limit my exposure to the top and collect profits on the way going down. Ultimately, you're going to have a break throughout the volatility. And that's why I always say volatility is your best friend, my friend, because there's money to be made on the way up and the way down. And once you catch throughout that volatility, the extrinsic value in the option will be very, very high because the IV is going to be crazy. It's going to be moving up, down like crazy, which means it's going to be on the 23rd or the 22nd because they announced it on the 22nd. So we'll see how that would go. But if my total investment in this case here is $400, for example, there was some calls like the $11 calls. They were, it was the $11 calls or the $10 puts that I was looking at. At some point today, they were evaluated at over $50 because of how the market today volatility moved, because of the job claims and report and all that stuff. As we've seen also in the past 2 days, the whole ordeal with, the CPI data. Some other people on the Discord seen one of the plays that I've done on the SPY and the options, and it was fantastic. The least I could say it in that word. And some of you that's in the Discord, seen the picture, seen the image, the proof, the receipts to it. So I'm not basically drifting people. I'm just talking about myself here, what I've done. And maybe some people could take some of that stuff and say, you know what, let me try to see what I could do with my own strategy, apply it to their own strategy and see what they could do. For me, I'm not too crazy. I am very risk tolerant, but I'm not too crazy risk tolerant unless it's something that I'm long on. So I'm not long on Lucid right now. Why? Because it's a stock. Depending on where we at right now, the electric market and the EV market is the future. And only an idiot will tell you it's not. Everybody knows. But I don't see that being the case in the meantime. So in the meantime, it's nothing but short-term hit and runs. That's what I call them. Hit and runs. Hit and runs. Collect, because obviously it's a very volatile market and the economy is crappy. At any given point, it could go to the upside or it could go tanking all the way down to the downside. And basically the recession that's looming all over us could affect extremely what you go long on. And then you're going to look back and say, oh, I wish I entered here, not there. But with options, you can't even play that game. That's just with shares. So it's nothing but hit and runs. My long outlook on companies like Lucid and stuff like that, because right now is just Tesla, and even them, the apex in that market is hurting. It's hurting in this economy. Yeah, forget the price of the stock right now and what they're saying. Yeah, hit and run, Jam Bams. So forget that, but they even hurting. They're cutting down workforce. They have to make so much, and imagine all the other people, all these other companies have so much competition in this in that industry. So even the apex is having of that industry, which is Tesla, is not having it easy just for these times. So my time to go long, I love Lucid. I love Lucid stock. But my time to think about going long in it is probably 3 to 4 years away from now, because right now it's just going to be something that is caught in between this market actions and reactions to the economy and all that stuff. So if something changes along the lines, yeah, we'll see at the right price. Why not? Overall, if I was to start loading up like crazy on shares on a play like Lucid, personally for me, it would have to be something completely like way under $6. It would have to be somewhere around under 5 even, probably 5, under 5 or under. Would it go there? Let's see. I think it would. All it takes is a few bad earnings and you're there in this economy. And if Q2, Q3, where most of this economy is going to taste its pain, and basically the feds are going to do their job with the rate hikes and all that, that's when you'll have access to those numbers. So let's remember this live for as far as Lucid, Q2, Q3, 2023, and see where we at. That's when I would start looking at averaging down or loading up on shares for Lucid and possibly averaging down as it goes lower from there. But from 5 or under, I don't see it becoming a CENN or a Mullen stock, where it would be down to the cents or in the dollar range. So that for me is going to be good stuff. So hopefully that made sense as far as what my position and how I'm playing, or what kind of take I'm having on Lucid. And hopefully that answered earlier the questions I had about the 3-leg operation with AMC. Now going forward, if the yes goes through, then I already know that if the reverse stock goes through, then they will be dropping. There was going to be some dilution. There's going to be this, and there will be interesting points to get in for options on AMC then, not now. Now, if AMC runs prior to the reverse stock split, then basically you can see that you will see the signs in the options. You'll see it in the volume on the daily trade, and you'll be able to make your best educated guess and say, hey, you know what? This thing could go ahead and do its run to the upside, which I would love for it to do its run before the reverse stock split concerning options. Now, as far as MOAS numbers and for shares and all that stuff, that's a completely different story, because that's the long game. It's us versus them, and we have to make them tap out. So that's a different game, and there's no extrinsic or intrinsic value to the shares until you sell them. So therefore, there's no expiration date. There's no pressure on that. Varo loco. So what else did I want to cover? I think this was basically it. But oh yeah, so AMC, once the reverse stock split goes through, so will the value of the options, because the price is higher, which means break evens are going to be higher, and in the same time there is going to be a much more expensive, because obviously the price is going to be much higher than where it is right now. That will get adjusted to the options chain after the reverse stock split. AMC1 option holders, the people that are already holding AMC1 option calls, I'm not going to talk about puts, because if that's the case, then you must be really devilish on the stock. You're not an ape if you're having, obviously, puts on there. But I can't fault you, because at the end of the day, it's a money game. So if you have, whoever you are out there, if you got puts on AMC, that means you've been doing your thing just to make money off the stock. And who knows, if you're holding your shares, then I'm just speaking to you directly. Whoever you are out there that is holding puts and whatever on AMC, it's not technically shorting AMC, because at the end of the day, you're leveraging your position. But what you're holding in your shares is what obviously matters the most. Andrew, yeah, day 11 on the threshold list. Yep, we've seen this and we've been there before in 2021. And I think in the beginning of 2022 as well. So let's see how that pans out, right? So AMC1 option call holders, like, oh man, it's disgusting. You're talking about a reverse stock split on the APE side and on the AMC side, the common shares. So it's going to be disgusting after the reverse stock split goes through. But I wish nothing but the best for anybody that has anything to do besides shorting AMC. So if you're doing whatever it is, it's an AMC, I'm praying for you, and I want nothing but the best. I wish nothing but the best and the most amount of money possible, because you're taking it out of the enemy. At the end of the day, unless you're shorting AMC, I'm praying with you. Shirley, day 677 on my threshold list. Yeah, on everybody's. We were supposed to have 677 margin calls by now. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions? So I don't make this as long. You guys seen today how in the past few days the market has just been nothing but very volatile. Market makers making crazy, ludicrous amount of money. If you trade the SPY a lot, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I mean, when the CPI data got reported on Tuesday, it was terrible news because the CPI data was higher than expectations, and yet the SPY did bullishly. Like, there was moments where it did very, very, very negative, bearishly, and it moved very bullishly as well. What that tells me is what I was telling you guys, as in this whole thing, the idea of that markets react to the news, people sitting, if you're imagining people are sitting and reacting to the news, oh, boom, 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 quick, that's non-bullshit, that's nonsense, and that's BS, a bunch of horse rubbish. Like, at the end of the day, it's all algorithmic trading. And the market maker is constantly looking for that sweet spot to take or inflict the most pain and deflect off of themselves the least amount of damage possible. That's the name of the game. So you could have the most bullish news and still move bearishly. Somehow they'll move you bearishly because they'll find something to justify the price action. It's not the news. It's not the price action that's reacting to the news. No, it's justification of the price action by the news. Yeah, Diaz, 2 nights in a row. What's up, brother? This is a much quicker one. I promise it will not be no 2 hour and a half and like yesterday's. Yesterday's we had to cover a lot. This one is just Q&A if there's any, and clarification about some things from yesterday. Okay, Andrew, any thoughts on the fact that there have been no shares available to borrow on AMC for days? Where's the share ferry? So, there is no shares on the market, obviously, to borrow. But who says that's the case? You remember, just like we have access to buying shares, they also have access to buying shares and then dumping them and selling them. In the same time, are they selling them back and forth to each other throughout the dark pools? That's most likely what's happening. They're not dumping them out only just on the market. And you see the volume as well. If apes and everybody, if all of us were saying that, oh, we're buying, and institutes are buying and buying, does the volume justify that sentiment at 30 million, 31 million volume daily? Doesn't seem so. It seems like obviously there's a lot of volume portion that's going through dark pools and only a certain portion that is reportedly going through the market or the NYSE trading. So that's like, and there, all these are ifs and most likely or buts to be able to do what it is. So like at the end of the day, think of yourself as a short hedge fund and another short hedge fund and the market maker that's also hugely shorting on this stock. I would rather, if I was one of them, I would rather lose $1 here, $2 here, and then to somebody who I sell these shares to, and then they turn around and sell them back. Because again, institutes have crazy amounts of money. And as I told you guys, they have access to the mother lode of all money, cash money, the cow of cash, which is the Federal Reserve, which means that money can come back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between each other. And if they lose minimally this much on a daily base, that's very small compared to obviously letting this thing run and they get castrated. It's the wrong analogy, but or the word, but it's a good word for this one because that's what literally would happen to them. But I'm telling you, the pain is so much more. Now, this is why FTX is gone. We're on the threshold list, guys. For all of 2022, this backs my theories that I've been telling you guys. For most of 2022, if not all of 2022, we didn't have any threshold list situation for AMC. This was back in 2021. When was the last time we've been on the threshold list for multiple days and weeks? And that explains when FTX was commissioned by Gary Gensler and, the whole ordeal of how it got commissioned in. When they got commissioned in the beginning, I think it was in January of 2022, you've never seen any threshold list problem with AMC. So, which tells me, again, it's up to you guys if you want to believe what AB is saying or go along with what AB is saying, which tells me is that all this tokenized bullshit was able to get them off free of cost, because again, who's there to say that they paid anything for that? And at the end, when the bankruptcy proceedings went through, so did all their corruption. So they kind of had a nest that they can store all their corruption in. Literally. For all of 2022. That's why all these shares kept popping up out of nowhere. Oh, they ran out of shares. Guess what? Boom. Here comes more shares the next day. What is this? Or even throughout the day. Now, look at this. Keep looking at the patterns and look at the situations that are happening. Now, it's only the beginning of 2023. We didn't even get into the year yet. We're still technically in Q4 of 2022. And guess what? We're already on the threshold list. Some parties are already getting squeezed out of their life. They are so eager and cannot wait for this whole reverse stock split to go through and the conversion, because that's their lifeline. I've said this before. I will say it again. The people who say yes, 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 you can get angry and hate on me as much as possible, but I don't look at it from this whole process from a favor position. I could easily, guys, think of it. Use some brain cells for all your yes people. Use a couple of your brain cells. AB as a content creator or as an influencer. It's much easier for me and beneficial for me to come out and just say yes, 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 yes on everything. Adam Aaron, yes, yes, yes. Like, it's easier for me to take that route. Many more people will like me, but am I that person? No. I'm looking at this from an investment. There's no bias. AMC don't owe me shit, and I don't owe AMC shit. At the end of the day, it's an investment. And I'm saying this as an individual who's been in the stock since freaking September of 2020. Not been in it since after the June 2021 or whatever run up. This is where it's coming from. So I don't have, if anybody is supposed to have a bias toward the company and its CEOs, it should be me. But I don't, because that's the way it should be. This is an investment world, the investment world. It's not a, Jeffrey Roca, what's up, brother? I see you in here. It's not about who I like and who I don't like. Nobody gives a shit about what we like in the investment market. If you're coming here to do a bias and stuff, you should go and cheer on a football team or a basketball team. This is about making money only. There's no bias to nothing. So as I see that whole image, and as I've been telling you guys, all these little details that stack up on top, that's why I choose the vote that I'm voting for. I understand that people are saying, oh, financials, fundamentals. I don't know how many times do I have to scream this from top of the mountain, but it's not a fundamental market. It's not. You want to kill the short theses? I promise you, they will find you another route. Let's say we pay off all the debt. I promise you, they'll find you something else to justify the price action, which is going to be, oh, the business is still not profitable. And even if it's profitable, it's not going to break much profit. And based on that news, they could keep you in that price action for another year or two. That's how the market works. And everybody knows that that's how they operate in the market. But for some odd reason, we just get to a certain spot of, or a certain thought process, and it stops there. We refuse to go deeper or go higher or deeper into, but what if? We refuse to think of worst case scenario and best case scenario and in the middle and all that stuff. We refuse. We stop at a certain thought process and we just stop there and say, this is it. Would I love Adam Aaron to be the best person in the world, the best, and be my best friend and all that stuff? Heck yeah. F yeah, I would love him to be my best friend and the best individual in the world. But this is the trading world. And again, I had some people comment on Less That Is Live, but they delete their comments right away because they know it sounds stupid. They would say some things along the lines of, hey, AB, why would Adam Aaron wanna screw us? We helped his company. Here's the one thing I want to tell you guys. First of all, Adam Aaron does not own AMC. He owns shares. He's an employee technically of the highest level in AMC. It's different than when, for example, AB owns a restaurant. I own the restaurant. Nobody else has shares in it but me. So that's number one. Two, Adam Aaron did his thing in 2021. Did you guys sell to diverse? Let me ask, in this stream, how many people here are over 50 or over 60? How many people? I know many people in this movement that are over 60, way above 60, and they have been putting so many shares, so they should basically been diversing. When in June 2021 AMC ran up to 74, technically they should have been selling some of their positions, right? But what is the motto of the game that we're in, or the movement that we're in? Power to the players and hold for life-changing wealth. That's what it was about. There you go, Diaz. And I know Diaz didn't sell. Did you sell anything? Diaz, P and P41. Did you guys sell anything in June run up? To diverse your wealth in case you have any almonies or will prospects or any of that. And again, I'm not holding this against anybody. Captain No Likey, no. Leo the Lion, no. See, Diaz, hell no. And that's the thing. I'm not holding it against him. And neither would I have held it against any of you guys if you would have done. Everybody has a different situation in this life. So, and a different leverage and a different margin level and all that stuff. So I don't hate Adam Aaron. People misunderstand exactly what I say, or they try to spin the narrative to make FUD and chill. I've specifically said it a billion times. I don't necessarily hold it against Adam because in my view, I view it as whatever is happening to us is much larger than he is, much larger than his pay grade. But that's for people who can see that far. People who just like to stay here, face value, and just look at it as, oh, he's the CEO. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe, anybody in this stream, please put your comment in the live. Do you believe there is any existence of synthetics? Do you believe there is synthetics in the stock market, specifically in AMC? Let me see. There's exactly about 40 people that were just in here. Now down to 38. I think people don't want to answer the question. Tell me, do you guys believe there is synthetics in the stock market or in AMC? In the clutch, yes. Captain Olaki, yes. Diaz, billions. Taylin, how are you? What's up, son? Let's see. Who else? Andrew says yes. P says yes. Jeffrey says yes. Irons Fly, yes. Jam Bams, yes. Varo Loco, billions. Alice Windlekin, yes. If I sit here, I think everybody in here is going to say yes. Shirley, hell yes. So let me give you an answer to that question. Well, how come then the silverback of all silverbacks sees any coexistence to synthetics? How come all of you average people, all of me and you, sees or thinks that there are synthetics, but the silverback of all silverbacks don't see any anything that even indicates that there are synthetics? Christopher Santos, plenty. Bro Cape, even talking about 2.4 billion. And my point is, I'm not saying here, even with saying that, I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt as Adam Aaron, because he has to look for the bylaws and protect himself. And Vado Loco, he's got to dance with the devil for now. See? See that right there? See that right there? That's exactly what I keep telling the people, is that this whole thing is still above his pay grade. Because again, it's been on for 3 years. Yes, he can choose his words carefully, Jeffrey. But so does GNS CEO, right? Not that I'm siding with GNS. I've never even held a position in GNS. As far as I know or care, GNS, to me, I think the CEO is trying to create some fame and a platform for himself. And now he's heavy on YouTube. He's trying to become YouTuber of the month or of the year. But yet he's come out. He's saying some things about that. He don't have to. And I'm the number one person against legal action against this stuff. I'm the number one person who said, hey, don't go and take this to no West Christian or whatever, because I don't want this AMC movement or this case to go into litigation, because that means yank off the stock market and go into years, and God knows at the end, maybe lawyers will get paid. They will make a lot of money. That's why West Christian would love to be all over AMC. And then in the same time, we get some sort of, maybe if they win the case, if nobody gets paid on the inside here and there and here and there, we know even judges are exposed lately. How many in that last scandal? I forgot which scandal it was, and it pointed to about a few Supreme Court judges that were on the pay, that were exposed. So the highest of levels can be corrupt. How many senators we know, whether Republican or Democratic, are all involved in insider trading? All. Almost all. On both sides. So this whole game, guys, it's much, much deeper than anybody could think. And for anybody who is to think that it's just, and as you guys have said in here, billions of synthetics. Do you know what billions of synthetics mean? And do you guys know the equivalent value to cover that madness? It's not easy money. I understand everybody thinks of their own personal position, but think of how many millions of others are holding. And when we talk about billions of synthetics, the payout to solve that, plus people holding, not selling for higher numbers and all that, you're talking about trillions of dollars. I've once said to you and showed you the receipts on the idea of when COVID first happened, when Trump put out the CARES Act, that thing was barely for $2 trillion. And that took care of the government, all the states, the people, the whole country. And now we're expecting that this one play by itself, besides all the other plays that are corrupt, to run and cost the government and cost the other side, basically, who's going to deflect it on the government, because they're going to put that receipt on the desk of the DTCC or the NSCC and the Federal Reserve and so forth, and even the Oval Office will reach there. Trillions of dollars for one play. Now, what Congress member can come out and say anything about something like that? That's why, this is all my own speculation. If I see it that way and I see it being that dangerous, that's why the other side has to put some caps and has to come in and get involved and have all their fingers all over it, as far as it running freely by itself and it's just in the hands of the market maker and it's just in the hands of the hedge funds. I think people are just looking at the face value of things in life. And again, I can't hold it against you, because I could be wrong and you could be right. And you could be wrong and I could be right. But time will tell. Let me see. Derek A., good evening, brother. Andrew, this play is going to lead to some serious PTSD. I think it already had. Yeah, if legal action, we will all be in therapy with our money. Yeah. I mean, imagine if this goes to litigation, as the people want, the people who are pushing the no. I would love if they're not pushing the no from a violent perspective where, bring him down, bring CEO down, bring this. And I'm not meaning anybody in particular or any content creator in particular, but I don't know why it cannot be like, we can't be in the middle. Why does it have to be pro, yes, 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 super, kiss the finger, or very violent and no, I want you out, you're corrupt, I want you in prison for life and all that stuff. I don't know why we can't find that sweet spot in the middle. And I feel like that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm always advocating for. Lupe, what's up, brother? God bless the United States of America, brother. Bro Cape, you still undecided on the vote? Again, the one thing you do not anybody want to do is not vote. Everybody needs to vote. Whatever it is that you vote for, no one can hold it against you. And remember, you go to the yes places, you go to the no places, you see the pros and the cons and make your best educated guess on it. And again, it's your money that lies on the line. Just like it's my money and their money on the line. Jeffrey, I think Adam Aaron was threatened back in March 21. He came out saying stuff in the news, and then towards August 21 changed his tone. Of course, brother, I can definitely back that up. As I've said in this live and many lives before, when you see the pedigree of the play that we're in, you would understand, or you would at least be open to the reality of understanding that some of these things are a little bit above many of these people we see on camera's pay grade, whether it's the CEO, the CFO, or whatever. Because yes, he's CEO of this company, but this is a company within the stock market. We know that the feds control the entire stock market. They got their tentacles all over the the Wall Street. So this is one avenue amongst many different streets and many different avenues. So I think, if on a deep state level of thinking of things, if they can get to somebody like Epstein, for example, as soon as he mentioned something about a list, the guy magically, was found hanging himself or hung himself in a cell. What's in that list? All of you can speculate here. I know all of you guys in here have your theories about that. So if they can get somebody who was already a billionaire anyways, then obviously they could reach with simple ease to somebody who's like Adam Aaron. Remember, he has kids, he's got a life too, and he's not gonna come out and say, "Oh yeah, they're threatening me." Because the nature of the person that threatens you, or the person that tells you do this or do that or that would happen, is they will always have a marked condition. And that condition is, if you tell anybody, we will do this. That's how it is. Nobody's going to come out and say, yeah, I'm being threatened. Except some revolutionary person who's saying, F it, I'm ready to die. Vado Loco, that's a very good statement. Yes, even though they sound like 1%, but that 1% hold obviously majority of that wealth, because that 99% or the dumb money is scattered. A very good statement. Kid Skid, what's up, brother? Mr. McCohen, what's up, brother? Yeah, this was on the go quick. I didn't even make no link for it or nothing. Just quick live, just Q&A, if there is any. I would literally, 6 salvo. Folks got to know only politicians go out and campaign when they're trying to push their own agenda, and when asked the tough questions, they answer with unresolved, and other questions never straight up. That's specifically, yes, I cannot say no to that. That's specifically explaining what politicians are. Uh, Jam Babs. um, Again, to reiterate, just so that no shills will try to spin the narrative what AB says or whatever. I hold zero grudge against Adam Aaron. At the end of the day, it's just like for example, a sports team. I cheer the Lakers, for example. I would love the players or that team to win the championship every year. And when they lose, of course I'm upset because I want them to give me the win. Now, if they couldn't win, they just couldn't win. They couldn't perform better than the other team. But when they do, I'm happy. I understand. We have our money in this stock. And Adam Aaron, to us, the figure of Adam Aaron is that we want him to be that player that we cheer on in our team. If he is that person, basically, his position is in that category. So I understand all that. And to me, I would love him to be that. But again, we're in a money market. There's billions and billions and trillions of dollars on the line. Just like we can get angry and reach out and we start speaking and we go and protest SEC and all this stuff. What do you think the 1% does? What do you think the other side is doing? You think they're going to just sit quiet? Who do you think is influencing all that FTX crap? Who do you think influenced all the corruption thus far until now? Think it just happens on its own? Obviously, people are pulling strings. It's just like we do things, the other side does it, but obviously they keep it on the hush-hush because they're the ones who are oppressing us. We're not oppressing them. There will come a time where where the tides will change, where we're the ones who are going to be the biggest threat to them or take. Right now, we're the threat. They're oppressing us. But when the tides change, then it's about how much ground can we gain at that point. Will we go short? Will we sell? Will we come up short? Will we clean them out? Take them to the dry cleaners? That all comes down to how we go through with the process. That's why I'm the number one person who's against, and again, it's not financial advice, this whole ideology of selling at any given point, whether before or after. At the end of the day, what the hell did I get into this play for? If that's the case, I'm good with day trading many other stocks. And any of you too would do the same thing. AB, the 2-pump champ. You watch a lot of Animal Kingdom, brother. Hit and run, hit and run. Exactly, Vado Loco. Like, I can see that anybody is in a very stressed out position, like somebody like Adam Aaron. It's about obviously educating the people, educating themselves in the market, and that's the thing that I'm doing. At least from my part, or from my end, that's what I'm doing. Is try to educate the people to understand that there is a bigger and higher force to also look at. It's not just, oh, I'm investing in GME or in AMC. That means if in an AMC, that means it's all in Adam Aaron's hands. No, he's technically the chief of operations, the leader, basically the executive of basically the chief of making decisions for the company. Not for the stock market, for the company. And what entities external entities do with the shares of the company, that he can't control. He can't control Vanguard going to buy millions of shares of AMC. He can't control which one of us can buy and which one can't. You got money, you welcome. You don't have money, hit the highway. And what we do with the shares and what the other side does with the shares, he can't control that. He can't control that. Now, as far as these decisions and all that to be made, he's not the only one on the board, just so you guys would also know. Even if he was to say, hey, I want no vote, and everybody on the board says, no, we want this to, like that, they can override him. They can override him. And that's another thing I want to get over to you guys. They don't even technically have to threaten him with his life or with his kids or any of that stuff. And this is going to conspiracies here. Like, they can easily say, hey, you know what? Okay. You know, there's 300 plus million people in this country. That's 300 million plus other people that could take your job and replace you here. Deep state have done that, that does that all the time. So many different individuals. And I'm not, again, I'm not pro Adam Aron, or I'm not against Adam Aron or the board or AMC or whatever. You know, I would love them to do what I want them to do because it's in best interest of my investment. Similar to all of you. That's where the people who are angry with the board or with Adam Aron is because they see that their decision making is affecting them negatively to their investment. If it was going to be good for their investment, then they will all be just happy. Yes, yes, yes. That's our guy. That's our people. That's our board. Salvo, Adam Aron's scoreboard is 0-2, and every time this was about to take off, magically an idea comes down and takes out the sizzle. Nobody can say no about that. This happened in June of 2021. Back then, when this thing was going, obviously AMC is looking to better their, and it's kind of a weird place. Like, here's what I want people to see. It's a weird place because AMC needs to fix their fundamentals. Like, they need to fix their debt. In the same time, we're looking for the run-ups. AMC sees an opportunity. Here's the thing. There's more than one way anybody can look at this. Somebody like Adam Aron and the board can say, hey, look at this price. It's crazy. It's in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 30s. Let's pull the trigger there. But in the same time, someone else could say, you know what? This thing, the others, it looks like obviously there are no shares. Shorts are gonna choke on that, as he says, choke on that. Well, when they're getting margined and they have to cover short positions, even the most average, dumbest investor in the stock market knows that when someone is margined, they have to close all their short positions. And if they don't have access to shares, then the price does what? Goes up. So he technically could have even sold for higher. And that's one thing I will always, and it's uncontested, and no one can say anything about this because I always hold the pros and the cons. One thing that is uncontested is AMC's timings for dumping shares is the stupidest timing. Always. They're very terrible with that. So they take negative points for that one. They did it with Ape. They did it back in 2021 and so forth and so forth. They always sell undervalued at wrong times, in my humble opinion. But again, many people can look at it differently. I look at it as, hey, they're getting margined. I'm not selling if I was the CEO. I'm not selling any shares. I need money for my debt and for my fundamentals. But instead, I'll wait because they didn't have as many shares at the time. And they dumped all of them back in that time. If I was the CEO at the time, I would have obviously chosen a higher point to dump at so I can take as much for the whatever amount of shares that I have at that point before I start asking my shareholders for more shares. Timing is important, Vado Loco. Of course, the enemy's timing, their timing is impeccable, apparently. But who's supposed to be on our side, their timing is very terrible. No one, that's undeniable. Anybody that says other than that, I personally have to question their agenda at that point. Because obviously we had much better selling points and dilution points at different times. And we chose to take the worst ones of the latter. Thank you, Vado Loco. Yeah, we have to, there's always an upside and a downside to everything. The key is to always meet in the middle. Always meet in the middle. What's the right balance? Where's the sweet spot? Excuse me. At the end of the day, the most important thing for us, because we are one. I can't put Adam Aron in our shoe. And I hope everybody understands this. He doesn't hold a position similar to ours. Adam Aron is already a big time multimillionaire. So for me, the people that are in my situation are the community, retail. That's who we are, all alike. So we are all in the same boat. And we have to get along, and we have to row the ship together. I can't wait for someone like Adam Aron, anybody in the board, to come and row with us, because at the end of the day, they're in a different boat. Whether you like to see it that way or not, but they're in a different boat, materialistically. So, AB is not about, for sure, it's going to be, if it's a yes, I'm out. If it's a no, then yes, all that stuff. Either way, my preference is no. That doesn't happen, I'm AMC. Again, either way, when they have to cover, even with the yes, they will have access to many shares through this conversion because of the arbitrage of APE. You know, apes, the problem is people think that we are the only ones who've been buying ape. Clearly, you've seen what Antara bought, and I've showed receipts on companies like AQR, which is a notorious shorter of AMC. They even came out publicly and dared us to come after them. They bought a record for their company. They bought over 600,000 shares prior to the issuance of APE, so that they can get over 600,000 APE preferred units. So that, and they turned around as soon as they got their issuance, they dumped all their common stock of AMC, which basically, most likely they dumped it over, sold it to some of these shorts or some of the entities, maybe the market maker, maybe Vanguard, as they keep up in their positions, maybe some other institutes who need the shares. They dump their shares in the common, and now they're waiting for the arbitrage of the 600,000 plus. That's if they didn't already add to their free 600,000 apes that they got from the issuance. They're probably also added on them, but if they didn't add, there's already guaranteed 600 plus thousand apes that are waiting to get converted in. And once they become common shares, this is, again, one of the most notorious shorts to AMC. What do you think they're going to do with them? You think they're just going to come out and say, oh, we're holding 600,000, we're going to hold to the moon? So, yes, of course I am pro no. But if it doesn't happen, then at the end of the day, I already know, even with the yes, there is going to be either a run-up or run-ups on different times, because there will be shares that they can tame any run-up with, at least lower the blow, minimize the blow that it brings. Do I like saying this stuff, guys? No. Do you want me to tell you what you like? Even if the answer is yes, I'm going to tell you no. That's not me. That's not who I am. I have nothing to lose or gain from this, but I have everything to gain and lose from my own personal investment. In the same time, I'm not going to lose my character, because that's everything. And I always say that. Ooh, I'm behind on the chat. Captain No Likey, how they look at themselves in the mirror. Salvo, I'm not saying Adam Aron is crooked, and I'm not saying he's a saint, but all it takes is some folks on the board who are crooked and are bought. Exactly. See, that's the thing. I mentioned a little bit ago, the problem with the channels that are pushing the no, not that they don't have a voice. They're in the family. They're with us. They also want to see life-changing money and wealth, because again, that applies to all of us. That's beneficial to all of us, right? By all means, however way it comes, we all want that. But the thing is, from the no side, and I'll say what the yes side is also their problem. From the no side, forget the vote for a second. From the no side, the no side is technically just only pushing for litigation. We want market correction. We want to solve the market. Hey, by all means, guys, fix the market, but not at my expense. Don't fix it with AMC. Don't sit here and try to fix all the market with this, because once you take it to the litigation, then you're going to be, who you're going to go cry to? You're going to put Adam Aron on the side. You're going to put all the board on the side. You're going to leave Ken Griffin, and your new issue becomes with who? With the law regulators, with the lawmakers. You're going to be so freaking pissed off that, like, oh my God, why is this taking 3 years? What is that content creator going to say? The problem with some of these content creators is that they're acting emotionally with this whole situation. They're acting emotionally, like they just want fix the market, the corruption, the stock market corruption, and all this stuff. Put out your opinion to the world, to the community, and say why this could be hurtful. The yes could be hurtful, as I laid out, but you do not have to take it to the level of revolutionary style. Revolutionary style, maybe because you're acting emotional right now, you think it's the right thing to do, but once you're in the proceedings of it, if we were to go that route, you're not going to like how the breakdown is. See, the problem is the lack of knowledge is what pushes people, and they become emotionally driven, and that's the essence of most disasters, or the biggest formula to the biggest of disasters that could happen, especially because there's no knowledge on what is to happen next. People like Christian Andrew, I will say this again, might sound like a saint because to you, you know you're being molested, and we've been molested by the corrupt hedge funds and the markets and the fundamentals of the market and how corrupt it is. And someone like Christian Wood might seem like a saint to us, but think about what is in it for him and what is not in it for him. For him, he's not even possibly an investor in any of these things. I would actually be surprised if he's an investor. But what's really in it for him is that he gets to get paid. No lawyer does it for free. Nobody does anything for free. And in fact as well, he's gaining popularity and he's getting very popular, and he could to make money if he was to take these cases. So of course, any lawyer would love to push the narrative of we need legal action. But if we were to go into the courts and they yank the stock off the stock market, what's in it for you and me? We know what's in it for the Christian Andrews and his likes. They get to make money. What's in it for you and me? We get to wait now for years for possible justice or injustice. Think of the ramifications of what your emotions are telling you, but don't let your emotions direct you. Please, family. This goes out specifically to the no's. So we need to have a better approach to how we can get across. Minus litigation. I do not want that crap until after we do what we do. After we do what we do, we can all go. I will hold your hand and we can walk up to the freaking Capitol and say, hey, we need justice. But before, I don't want the stock being yanked and put into freaking litigation and let lawyers make so much money off of it and shorts be so happy because now they just got, you know what? We don't have to deal with this on a daily basis. Now it's off. It's on the back burner. Now we get to go ahead and, plan how we can screw these people through litigation. And by the way, at any given point, someone like Christian Andrews, he might sound like a saint now, but if this was to go further, let's just entertain the thought. To go further, we go on litigation, that's one lawyer. You think that they won't reach out to him and pay him off or get him to screw us over? Who are you going to cry to then? Oh, Christian Andrews screwed us over, and then what? You got to tame your emotions. You can't let your emotions drive you into making decisions. So, and here's that was from the no side. Now from the yes side, this whole pessimistic ideology of, we're 100% believe, like just follow blindly. That's also the root of all disasters. just going along with whatever and just going along with whatever, that does not sound very confident, and that doesn't sound very safe. We don't know these individuals. At the end of the day, it's your investment, and their decisions is going to affect it. Think on that. Think on that. It's your money, and some other men are deciding on it. So you got to be a little more conservative when it comes to that. So from the yes side, please be a little more conservative, and do not, please, just come out, especially for content creators, especially, not just the rest of the community, but especially content creators. Hold yourself to higher values and expectations, because as you shit on the no narrative and you just completely keep laminating the yes narrative, are you possibly just giving the people what they want to hear? Some people, you're just giving them comfort for the time being. And if this thing was to go south, let's say the yes, entertain the narrative. Just entertain the narrative and think with a conscience, and think about all these people that are watching your content, and they're constantly just going. Some people are getting influenced heavily with what you say, especially the ones with the bigger reach. Think about the lives of these people. If you so care about these people's and telling them all your knowledge and everything, think about what could be a catastrophe case scenario with the yes. And then come out and proudly say what you want to say. This is why when I say I'm choosing to say no on all three, I'm proudly saying them. And I back them up with my cases, and you can look throughout my archives and see why I said no. I repeat them all the time, but I proudly say them because I already know that I've entertained the worst case scenario for the people that are even being influenced by what I say. Thank you, Shirley. I love you all as well, just as much and even more. So you gotta entertain that. Don't just give people what they want to hear, or don't just give people comfort. This is the money world. This is the stock market. So be real. Be real. Be you and be real. And go further than just the whole thing about paying down the debt. It's deeper just than the debt. It's not just that. And yeah, paying down some of the debt. We've been paying down some of the debt since 2021, and the short thesis is still not killed. And even if we do the whole, we got 400 plus million shares to issue, they're not going to drop all 400 million shares and issue them all at once. That's madness. They're not going to do all that just so that they can pay the debt all in one day. And yes, they do also have access to some preferred equity shares that they will have from the stock reverse split and the conversion that are oh man, excuse me. Gorilla Grodd, what's up, brother? Best believe, guys, I don't have anything. Like, I look at the family, I look at the movement as we're all one. My best case, my best interest is your best interest. Your best interest is my best interest. Once I know and see the whole picture, not just look at it from one angle, not just looking at it from just the debt. I understand that's our biggest flaw in our company, is our looming big debt. But the second biggest one is breaking even, making profit, being a profitable business. That's the second biggest, if not equivalent to the debt. Because obviously a lot of that debt could be also good debt because it has good interest rates. So for example, if some of that debt has high interest rates, of course you want to go ahead and deal with that first, because you're constantly burning a lot of cash. And you paying back down this, but you're paying a lot of it back. But in the same time, you got to be a profitable business too in order for the short thesis to completely be gone. But even if you paid off all the debt and you're still losing money, how did you kill the short thesis? You're still going to incur or procure new debt. And I personally think that we are heading in that direction. Watch the next upcoming earnings and look what we have coming up front. We didn't have, even Adam Aron himself said, this is to his credit. He even said himself that, hey, we have much more. Like in 2022, we had almost about a half. I remember his last interview, I think it was, I don't know where, in Phoenix or somewhere. He even said to the whole crowd, he was like, hey, 2022 was ruthless to us. The industry did not produce as much movies. And AMC don't produce them. AMC televises them, airs them out, streams them out on the big screen. That's our bread and butter. Yeah, credit cards come in. Yeah. We have popcorn going to shelves. Yes, we also have, toward the end of this year, we have that deal with Amazon, as Amazon is investing in streaming their, or producing and streaming their stuff on the big screen. We already had one with Netflix, already have one. And we're going to do more and more and more with other streaming services. This is a good outlook onto what's coming. So my thing is, I want to find that sweet spot, and what pushes my no is that debt doesn't necessarily all get paid at once. But in the same time, instead of having to do this reverse stock split and all this conversion and everything, that the other side can obviously or easily be margin called at any given time. Sell as we need from the preferred shares. Look at where they at. They're not at 66 cents. Yes, you're diluting more of it. I understand. But sell from that. And in the same time, go as you see. And get enough that gets you by, like, until the end of the 2023 area. See what happens midway point in 2023. Because companies or big companies don't wait till the last second. So do it, have it like 6 months out. Prepare 6 months out. Have enough cash to take care of you 6 months out, half a year in advance. And the rest, see what happens. Let the business get on its feet. We know that 2023, there's going to be for sure a lot more movies being produced, a lot more than 2022. And 2024 have also a lot more than 2023, and definitely 2022 as well. In the end, even yes or no, my main mission here is to push the narrative to people to go vote. No matter what your vote is, go vote. Don't just not vote. Go vote. Make sure you vote. And when you vote, yeah, Captain No Likey, it should have been out already, but I think it comes out sometime before the announcement of before the reverse stock split takes place. Jeffrey. So I can't wait to see how it goes, but make sure you vote. That's all I'm going to say to everybody. Make sure you vote, and whatever the result it is that comes out of it, we're all going to be one family to move forward. If even the ones that don't want to move as a family, it does not matter. At the end of the day, each person is holding their own personal position. No one can come to anybody and tell them, you can't hold, or you can't sell, or whatever. You do what you do. Everybody has been doing what they want to do at the end of the day. Hey, Adrian, what's up, brother? All right, family. I gotta cut it short here. Well, it wasn't as short as I wanted. I wanted it to be less than an hour. We're a little bit over an hour already. Just tell me if there's any questions, please put them in. I'm gonna stop going on and on and on. I'm pretty sure the family understands where AB is at. I just want the median between both sides, whether the yes or the no, because there should not be two sides. There should be, yes, like a problem between the family amongst themselves. Hey, I want yes and you want no, whatever. And I want no, but you want yes. But that does not mean we have to get split. Let's stay together through it. If anybody want to make their own personal decision, everybody's always been welcome to make their own personal decision. Nobody controls anybody's finances or anybody's decisions on making decisions. You're going to do your own thing, just like on voting for presidency. When you go and vote, there is this and there's this. And both sides will make their case and everybody votes. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we're all going to be American. Or at least we should be. So, thank you, Vado Loco. So that's another brother of mine. Pab Loco. Good night. Just like I said, if any questions, let me know, guys, right now. If not, please put them in the comment section afterwards. As far as for the shills, I would appreciate it more if you at least shill while I'm live and not go to the comment section afterwards and just cowardly comments afterwards. So at least be brave enough to put them out on the live so I can address you there. You know? You're welcome, Alice. Thank you so much for being part of the family. God bless you and your family as well and your loved ones. For me, as much as I don't like to put my narrative out there, because there's always going to be people that are not going to agree with you. Not everybody's going to agree with you, and not everybody's going to agree with you. So it's always going to be like that. So I always prefer not to stay quiet and not even put my 2 cents in at all. I'd rather prefer to answer questions because I would know at least what the people want to hear or what they want to talk about, and I'll just put my 2 cents there. All right, I see we are at the 127. I'll say we'll go ahead until the 129 mark, and then we'll wrap it up completely, so they can make sure it's under 130. So, if any questions, please put them in now, because time is ticking on that. Get out of here, Leo the Lion. Yeah, everybody's saying he's going to the Raiders. Even Devontae Adams is saying that. I appreciate you, kid. I'm only one of the apes. I'm only one of the family. So apes together strong, apes, divided weak. So and again, the overwhelming majority of this movement is much brighter than I am or has a lot more knowledge than I am. There are even the ones that are even voices are not even being heard, and they know even a whole lot more. I just stick to what I know, and I'm eager to learn more from what anybody else in the family has to offer. That's what the game is about. The day that you stop learning is the day you die. I don't intend on dying anytime soon. Yes, Loco. Loco, we got a lot to look forward to for this week and next week. Oh, and by the way, on a quick note, guys, remember, this upcoming Monday is closed. The market will be closed. And we know what happens in markets when 3-day weekends loom over us. Not all the time, but majority of the time, there's always some magic that happens. So this is interesting times, people. Appreciate you, Captain No Likey. Yeah, look. Vado Loco Tuesday. All right, family. It is over that hour. I cheated you guys with an extra 30 seconds and now counting. So before 1:30, I want to wish everyone a happy, a great rest of your night. Not happy, but a great rest of your night. Get ready for tomorrow as it's the last trading day before Tuesday. Get rid of, obviously, for a lot of volatility. This is where we're at. You remember, we make money on the way up and the way down. Possibilities are endless. As far as for our favorite stock, You know what's on the line. Nothing have changed. It's been over 3 years for some people, almost 3 years. And I don't, personally for me, I don't intend on changing that until it's the right and the sweet spot for me. With that being said, much love, AB Investments.